Indecision is something that affects a lot of us, myself included. In fact, so much so that when we began dating, my husband bought a coin with a yes on one side and a no on the other, just to speed up the process a little bit when it came to ordering in restaurants or making a decision on a holiday. However, that being said, indecision is an issue that can cause us so much distress if we don't get on top of it. And it's also a sign of insecurity and low self worth. It's an indication that you don't trust yourself to make the right decision. And I think we feel as if we're playing it safe by not making a decision. And we forget that even in not making a decision, that in itself is a decision. That means that we have to deal with the consequences of not having made the choice. And so we let things play out according to somebody else's wishes. And there's no point in us getting pissed off about that, because ultimately we had the choice at some stage and we chose not to make the decision. And we often think as well that if we don't make a decision, that it means that we're not going to make the wrong one. And the thing is, in life there is no really wrong decision. There's different outcomes, yes, but whatever the outcome is, you will deal with it, you will cope with it. I mean, you cannot constantly sit on the fence. You cannot keep yourself in a state of ambiguity for a lifetime and feel like as if life is passing you by and you have no sense of autonomy, you've no control, just because you're playing it safe. And then you're looking all around you and everybody else is doing the things that you wanted to be doing, but because you couldn't make the choice required to set you out on the road that you needed to take, you're just left there. So it's really important that you take that control. And you see, we do struggle a good bit these days with what is referred to as decision fatigue. I mean, our phones, our technology, they're a disaster, because literally we're being given these notifications all day. Do you want to look at this? Do you want to look at this? Do you want to look at this? And consequently, we are bombarded with choices all day, little tiny choices that are insignificant and yet that our brain has to make. Consequently, by the time it comes to making the bigger decisions, we're absolutely worn out, you know. Whereas if we work a little bit more on resting the mind, on silencing the mind, and on tapping into what it is that we really want from life, the important decisions that we have to make, we'll be a lot better off. And it can be a real indicator of a power struggle in a relationship when one person refuses to make decisions, and it can be infuriating for the other person. Believe you me, I know. And we can feel like as if we're doing our partners our favor by saying, I don't know, whatever, you choose. And consequently, we don't ever end up getting our needs met. We don't express what our desires are, and we end up building little by little bits of resentment. So when it comes to growing your relationship, it actually doesn't help it at all. It inhibits it. It doesn't enable it to flourish. You know, we need to take responsibility for our lives. We need to tap into what it is that we need, what our desires are, and sometimes acknowledge the fact that those desires don't suit other people, and we have to decide, you know, to keep them at bay, or, you know, we have to sit with the decision that this time is not the appropriate time to express my needs. But it's about doing things at a very conscious level, and that's not something that we're used to. And consequently, we're in this state of ambiguity as opposed to being in a state of equanimity. So learn to get in touch with what it is that you actually need. I wouldn't advise you living by a coin, you know. Sit down and listen to your heart, and then ask yourself logical questions. Ask yourself, okay, does this serve me? Does this help me achieve what it is that I need to achieve? Does this serve other people? Is this decision going to impact on others in a negative way? Is this decision going to impact on me in a negative way? So, you know, be very mindful, be very aware. And I suppose it's about getting a nice balance between, I suppose, being mindful and aware and being inquisitive and curious, and not getting completely bogged down in the process either, because sometimes we can overthink and overanalyze all of the options so much that we almost overthink ourselves out of making a decision. We just exhaust ourselves, we ruminate, and ultimately we end up in a complete tiswas and being in a head fuck just isn't worth it. So, learn to make rational decisions, but learn to make them quickly and learn to accept the consequences. Once you've made the decision, try to avoid backpedaling. Try to make the most of the choice that you have made. And if you feel that it doesn't necessarily turn out the way that you anticipated, then ask for help in changing the direction slightly. Take ownership, take accountability, take autonomy in your life. Start making decisions. Trust yourself, because you know a lot more than you think you do. Again, we need to start making less decisions up here, more decisions here. If you would like help in getting better at skills like decision making or communicating your needs, get in touch with me on my website. It's fundamentals.ie.